Holy Bible, Recovery Version. Matthew chapter 21. And when they drew near to Jerusalem, and came to Bethphage at the Mount of Olives, then Jesus sent 2 disciples, saying to them, Go into the village opposite you, and immediately you will find a donkey tied, and a colt with her. Untie them, and lead them to me. And if anyone says anything to you, you shall say, The Lord has need of them, and immediately he will send them. Now, this took place in order that what was spoken through the prophet might be fulfilled, saying, Say to the daughter of Zion, Behold, your king is coming to you, meek and mounted on a donkey, and on a colt, a foal of a beast of burden. And the disciples went and did as Jesus directed them, and led the donkey and the colt, and they put their garments on them, and he sat upon them. And most of the crowd spread their own garments in the road, and others cut branches from the trees, and spread them in the road. And the crowds who went before him, and those who followed cried out, saying, Hosanna to the Son of David. Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hosanna in the highest. And when he entered into Jerusalem, all the city was stirred, saying, Who is this? And the crowd said, This is the prophet Jesus from Nazareth of Galilee. And Jesus entered into the temple, and cast out all those who were selling and buying in the temple. And he overturned the tables of the money changers, and the seats of those who were selling the doves. And he said to them, It is written, My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers. And the blind and the lame came to him in the temple, and he healed them. But when the chief priests and the scribes saw the wonders that he did, and the children who were crying out in the temple, and saying, Hosanna to the Son of David, they were indignant, and they said to him, Do you hear what these are saying? And Jesus said to them, Yes. Have you never read? Out of the mouth of infants and sucklings you have perfected praise. And leaving them, he went out of the city to Bethany, and lodged there. Now in the morning, as he returned to the city, he became hungry, and seeing a fig tree on the way, he came to it, and found nothing on it, except leaves only. And he said to it, May there no longer be fruit from you forever. And the fig tree was instantly dried up. And when the disciples saw this, they marveled, saying, How did the fig tree instantly dry up? And Jesus answered and said to them, Truly, I say to you, if you have faith, and do not doubt, you will not only do what was done to the fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, Be taken up and cast into the sea, it will happen. And all that you ask in prayer, if you believe, you will receive. And when he came into the temple, the chief priests and elders of the people came to him, as he was teaching, and said, By what authority do you do these things? And who gave you this authority? And Jesus answered and said to them, I also will ask you one thing, which if you tell me, I also will tell you by what authority I do these things. The baptism of John, from where did it come? From heaven, or from men? And they reasoned among themselves, saying, We say, From heaven. He will say to us, Why then did you not believe him? But if we say, From men, we fear the crowd, for all hold John as a prophet. And they answered Jesus and said, We do not know. He too said to them, Neither do I tell you by what authority I do these things. But what do you think? A man had 2 children, and he came to his first son, and said, Child, go today and work in the vineyard. And he answered and said, I do not want to. Yet later he regretted and went. And he came to the other, and said likewise. And he answered and said, I will, sir. Yet he did not go. Which of the 2 did the will of the Father? They said, The first. Jesus said to them, Truly, I say to you that the tax collectors and the harlots are going into the kingdom of God before you. For John came to you in the way of righteousness, and you did not believe him. But the tax collectors and the harlots believed him. And you, when you saw it, did not later regret it to believe him. Hear another parable. There was a man, a householder, who planted a vineyard and put a hedge around it, and dug a winepress in it, and built a tower, and he leased it out to vine dressers and went abroad. And when the time to harvest the fruit drew near, he sent his slaves to the vine dressers to get his fruit. And the vine dressers took his slaves and beat one, and killed another, and stoned another. Again, he sent some other slaves, more than the first, and they did likewise to them. Then later he sent to them his son, saying, They will respect my son. But the vinedressers, when they saw the son, said among themselves, This is the heir. Come, let us kill him and take possession of his inheritance. And they took him and cast him out of the vineyard and killed him. Therefore, when the master of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those vinedressers? They said to him, He will miserably destroy those evil men and will lease the vineyard to other vinedressers, who will give the fruit to him in their seasons. Jesus said to them, Have you never read in the scriptures, the stone which the builders rejected, this has become the head of the corner. This was from the Lord, and it is marvelous in our eyes? Therefore, I say to you that the kingdom of God shall be taken from you, and shall be given to a nation producing its fruit. And he who falls on this stone shall be broken to pieces, but on whomever it falls, it shall crush him to powder and scatter him like chaff. And when the chief priests and the Pharisees heard his parables, they perceived that he was speaking concerning them, and though they sought to seize him, they feared the crowds because they held him as a prophet.